Go around the badger.
Hey everybody, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it's time for another champion build video. Today we will be looking at Bard as a support, because typically that's where you're going to probably find him. Although I've seen some weird Bards, because people are trying things, which they seem to work sometimes. But Bard's a very interesting champion. I think one of the biggest complaints people probably have about him is they don't think he's as impactful, and they probably blame his kit, or it's just not easy to master, which part of that I would agree with. But the other thing I think also that doesn't help Bard currently is I think a lot of people just aren't like reacting to what your Bard is doing right. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. We'll talk about that a little bit more as this video goes on. But what we're going to do is talk about his runes and masteries, of course, his items that you might want to build, his skills, his abilities, all that fun stuff. So let's start things off with those runes and masteries, get those out of the way. For the rune page, we're going to be taking magic penetration, marks, armor seals, flat magic resist, glyphs, and AP quintessences. And then as for our masteries, that is down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It's a 0921, pretty standard for most supports. At least we would call that support classic, in my opinion. And let's jump on into those abilities. So first off the bat, I'm going to summarize some of these things because he's got very long abilities. But he's got his Traveler's Call, which is his passive. Ancient Chimes are all over the map. They will linger up to 10 minutes. You can collect them. They will grant you movement speed when you grab them. They will also give you 12% of your maximum mana. Every 5 charms you collect will give you empowerment to your meeps. So you can read into this more in depth. Basically, the one thing I will say about these are get them if they're close, get them if it makes sense, get them if you need mana, get them if you need the movement speed. Don't just go run away from your lane though and say, well, hey, my lane partner is getting more experience and I can get experience from these. I usually collect them when I'm coming back to lane, and then I don't run around going to get them. You can roam and get them on your way to maybe ganking for mid lane or something, and that's okay, but just make sure your bottom lane is not in a position to fail. Because if you are going to do that, then that's going to be unfortunate for them because they fall behind, and if you are roaming a lot, you will eventually fall behind yourself. So be careful with this. Don't overreach your boundaries. At level 1, I put a point into my Cosmic Binding. This is your Q ability. We're going to be maxing this out first, in my opinion. You're going to fire out that line of energy. If it hits someone, it has a chance to hit something else behind them, a person, another champion, the terrain, and it will stun them, which is great. We want that. If it doesn't hit anything else behind them, it will just slow them. This will deal magic damage. I think one thing people a little bit forget about when they are using Cosmic Binding is you want to use it like against terrain seems to work the best. Obviously, when people are just in a big pack fighting, you can land the stun easier, but in lane, it's not super difficult, but just think about the surroundings. Everything's a wall around you. It can work really well, so just take mind in that. At level 2, put a point into your W. This is your Caretaker Shrine. These will build up, giving more health to the allies that will step on them. Over 10 seconds is when they will get their maximum amount of heal. You also get a bonus movement speed when you step on it, which is nice. So if you need to speed somebody up for just a split second to get a kill or to run away, throw it right underneath their feet so they can get in or out of a fight right away. Or other than that, leave them behind you so while you are retreating in lane, or can keep them safely in lane, people can go step on them on your team and get them. If an enemy steps on it, they just remove it, which is unfortunate. So keep them in safe places. And at level 3, we're going to put a point into our Magical Journey, which you know is the big tunnel everybody can cast. Allies travel faster than the enemies inside of it, which is better for getting away. You can also bait people into fights with this. It's also good to get through terrain to get to fights, kind of like how we did to get over to this turret, so we can just get a flash and Q onto that Elise who needed shut down. So yes, very important. But we're going to max out our Magical Journey last. Now, the other thing I will say about teammates is sometimes teammates don't step on the Caretaker Shrines, which is unfortunate. When you put them in perfect places for them to keep running away, they think they're going a better direction when it's like, no, step on the shrine. It'll speed you up, give you health. Why wouldn't you take that? Do that. And then also a Magical Journey. Like, sometimes people just like, oh, I'll walk around. It's like they don't pay attention to them. It's sad. It happens occasionally. So then we're going to tether him to the wall, although I know he looks way too far away from the wall. He was dashing away from it as it hit him, but that still counts as a tether, so he will be stunned, so we can pick up a kill for the team. All right. Anyways, back to the last thing, which is, of course, your ultimate, and this is your Fate. After a brief delay, you can obviously make everything go stasis for 2.5 seconds. Everything is untargetable and invulnerable, and they can't perform any action. So, 2.5 seconds. It's very long. The thing I think people are using this most for, they think of it as a Zhonya's Hourglass, and they try to save people with it, which is possible. And it's good to save your allies with it if you're all trying to get to them. Most of the time, I think this works best as a gap closer. When they're trying to escape or evade, or you're trying to cut a team apart, and you can capture a few of them in this, and then the rest of your team can get in position to then capitalize on a kill. So that works out really well that way. And just think of it as a huge gap closer where if you stun them, you have 2.5 seconds to get into your positions as a team to then kill them. So yeah, just think of it that way. But those are your abilities. Let's move on. So at level 1, we started off with the Frost thing, which is, I always forget the name. That's fine. I really don't care. I sell it late game because I don't like building the full item. I don't like its stats. I'd rather buy a big item later on. But I'll pick it up early because it's going to give me, a little bit of ability power. That mana regen. We get the gold too, I believe. And it's going to be fine. It's good early, but late game, we're going to get rid of it. Now, another thing you can do is you can pick up the coin, and you can build a Talisman of Ascension if you want to do that. I do like that item. I like the activate on it. I think it's really, really good. And I think it gives you good sustain in lane because whenever those minions die, you do get some health back. So it does have some perks. I do like Talisman a little bit more if you're going to fully build the item. But we didn't do that, so that's not the case. We, on the other hand, are building the Sightstone right away, which is what we've already done. So Sightstone has been taken care of, and that is the first item we want. Then as the game goes on, we pick up the Catalyst, which we built already into the next item, and we picked up our Boots of Mobility for roaming. Pick up a kill and shut down the Yasuo. We're going to ult ourselves because our team is moving towards us. We're saving ourselves and preventing damage, and then their team is now going to get killed, waiting to try to kill me when I come out of stasis as my team came. So we used it that time safely to get the team in position to then come clean up kills. If we would have used it on the enemy team, probably would have worked the same, but that's a lot harder to hit 3 of them opposed to 1 of me. So we went for that route instead, which is nice. Here's a perfect point coming up where I put down the heal. Luckily he lives, but he could have touched that, ran to us instead of up, but luckily we're all going to close in anyways. We get the slow on him and we pick up another kill because empowered meeps do lots of damage. So that's really good. We have 44 collections so far, and that's good damage. It's very nice. We get that splash damage and all that fun stuff. So that's what we're doing. Like I said, so we have our Sightstone. We've taken that Catalyst and we've built it into the Righteous Glory. Really like that item on Bard. Allows him to get in position, help his teammates out too. Just good stuff. Mana as well. He can be a little heavy on the mana when it comes to those heals, so it's a good thing to pick up. And Boots of Mobility early on. Now the next item we're only building it because we couldn't build the other item. We were going to build a Frozen Heart, but we decided to go Randuins this game because our top lane, Nasus, already had a Frozen Heart. You can double them up. It's not terrible by any means, but you don't really need multiple on your team. So I also am a big fan of Omen because of the active and because of the just amount of health you get with it too. I sacrifice a little bit of armor and some cooldown reduction and some mana, but I do like health. I think health as a raw stat is very powerful currently in the meta. So health as a raw stat is great. So that is why we've picked up that as our backup choice. So very, very helpful. Here we try to do a dragon. That's a terrible call because we have no damage between the 3 of us. Why would we do this? Let's run away. Oh no, Nasus died to the Baron. I got killed. Anyways, so that's what we did. We're going to be building towards that Randuin's Omen. Very, very good item, just in general. Now, the next thing we need to address within our build is magic resist, typically. At this point in the game, with 150 armor and 42 magic resist, you probably need some magic resist. They're a pretty attack damage heavy team, to be honest. But they do have a little bit of AP, and that Elise actually has a handful of kills, and Elise does percentage damage and a lot of penetration damage all the time. So she's a problem. She just tickles if she gets on your face. So we're going to need to pick some up. As you can see though right now, Sivir doesn't do crap to me because I have armor, let alone we do more damage to her than, and then our good old Tristana shows up to wreck some face, which is great. So that's really good. We like that. But we will get some magic resist, and the items that we can build towards this are dependent upon a few things. I've decided to go with a Banshees Veil this game for my magic resist because it will deny the next cast abilities. So as much as it does help us with the magic resist, obviously if Yasuo wants to chuck a tornado at us, it will block that, therefore we won't get ulted by him. So a few other things like that will help. Also, if Elise chucks a cocoon at us, we're safe. Or a stun from the Twisted Fate. All types of reasons. But the other one you could get if you wanted to totally help the team out against a magic damage heavy team, the Locket of the Iron Solari would be a great choice. You're going to get a lot of health with it too, which is good. And you'll get some magic resist, not quite as much. I don't know, you'll not be too far off anyways. And you will get some more cooldown reduction, which everybody's a fan of cooldown reduction. It's always good. Although I will say, Bard's abilities, I don't think they're on terrible cooldowns. they make sense for what they're at, personally. So I don't have any major complaints about that. The main thing I would say, though, is when you are playing as him and you are fighting, make sure you are standard attacking, because the Traveler's Call, all those empowered meeps and stuff, they do a lot of damage, and they do a lot of slow, and they do a lot of stuff in fights. It's very, very helpful. So make sure you are standard attacking while you are in fights. I greatly recommend it. The other thing I do also recommend when you are playing as Bard is to take Ignite. It just seems to be helpful. He lays down very good early harass in lane, it seems. And teaming that up with some Ignite is very good. Also, because he can roam to mid and gank, just having Ignite on that is very helpful to secure a kill. Especially if you only get the slow on him, you can't get him stunned with that Q. Then you'll have a little bit more damage coming in, true damage-wise. And it's always a good thing to have that to get those kills. Just a side note to remember. Here, with the Twisted Fate ult, we can see where they're at. We're going to try to lock them down, but it just causes them to scatter. And when they scatter, they get separated, and because of that, we're going to be able to pick off the Yasuo after he ults the whole damn team. But, yeah, we're going to be able to pick up more kills. And so in this area, we're looking for stuns. There we get her against the terrain, and then she gets knocked back, so she's stunned really far. But look for the terrain stuns. Make sure you just kind of move yourself in a better position. Here, we're going to throw another one, but she does flash it to pick up the kill on Tristana, but she'll die to the dog. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. So, look at those items. They're about exactly the same. One thing I will say, because we aren't going to be building a full-on support item, the nice thing about that is we will have enough room for another full-on just big ticket item, which I'm totally a fan of doing. So that's just, side note. Or, right now we have a slot for a pink ward, which apparently we've had for a little bit. Why have I not put that down? Probably just been roaming around too much to think of like a perfect spot to put that. I hate that. My brain gets to me, and you're like, yeah, we should put it here. The dog's getting into a fight again because it's becoming the late game, which is fine. We're going to lock down the Twisted Fate. That's basically everybody can get in position to kill him. That's just how that works, although I think he flashed a wall, but he's going to die anyways back there. We're getting to a fight up front. That wall's kind of annoying, though. Only Nautilus gets caught up in that, and we're going to just try to separate people out, try to get these stuns on these people. Luckily, with Elise, she gets stunned against her own little spiderlings, which is unfortunate for her. But they can also block the attack, because spiderlings do that too, which is also kind of annoying. So take that with a grain of salt if you're playing Bard against an Elise. So spiderlings are annoying and or helpful, depending on the situation. So we're going to get some more turrets. We have finished off our Banshees Veil. At this point, we're pretty tanky for a support. We have 3,700 life, nothing super crazy, but nothing tiny by any means. And we've got some good resists. It allows us to get into fights and actually become a nuisance with all of those meeps and our stun/slow. At this point, we've collected 74, making them rather powerful, to be honest, which is really good. They deal more damage, and they have more of them. Bonus damage before disappear. Yeah, just read the whole thing. I can't read that whole stat. It's incredibly detailed of what they do. Here we catch out the Twisted Fate, which allows us to get into position. We also lock down the two of them with the stun, and this gets us in position for a catch. Because of this, we catch two of the important targets on their team, or just two targets on their team, and this puts us in a perfect position to end the game. We also have slowed down Talon, and that will get us more kills. Because, not us, but the team. And that's going to be able to let us end the game. Finding catches with the ultimate is by far probably one of the biggest helpful things, because the nice thing is you can get into position while you catch them, and you might bait the enemy team to come back to help their friend who got caught. Bard's really fun to play. He does take a little time to master. Play him, try him out, get really beefy, and you'll have a lot of fun. And I'll see all of you guys in the next build video.